Good evening. I'd like to call the Foster-Glocester Regional School Committee to order. Can I have roll call, please?
Sure. Mrs. Joyce. Mrs. Joyce?
Here.
Mr. Mara?
Here.
Mrs. Pezza?
Here.
Mr. Dupuy?
Here.
Mrs. Keeling? Mr. Joyce?
Here.
Mrs. Cook? Ms. Ferreira?
Here.
And Mr. Rizzo.
Here.
Can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Beth, I'm going to hand it over to you for student and staff recognition.
Good evening, everyone. We're excited tonight to celebrate the valedictorian and the salutatorian. Is the valedictorian here? Okay, his name is Brendan DeRosiers. Brendan exemplifies the qualities of a true leader through his humility, kindness, intelligence, and creativity. Ranked number 1 in the class of 2026 with an outstanding GPAs, 4.7508 GPA. GPAs. Brendan challenged himself with a rigorous schedule of honors and AP courses while earning AP Scholar with distinction recognition and an impressive average AP score of 4.67. A gifted mathematician and engineering student, he independently explored advanced subjects such as pre-calculus, AP statistics, multidimensional calculus. I can't even say that right, never mind what it is, Jesus. While also excelling on the math team. Beyond academics, Brendan is a talented musician and section leader in the instrumental ensemble and has been inducted into the Tri-M Honor Society, Spanish Honor Society, Rhode Island Honor Society, and National Honor Society. I wish he was here that we could meet this wonderful, smart kid. Brendan is best known for his quiet humility, strong character, and genuine kindness, qualities that make him an exceptional representative of the class of 2026. Congratulations to this year's valedictorian, Brendan DeRosiers. But our salutatorian is here. Molly, come on up. This is Molly Souza. Molly is a well-rounded, ambitious, and self-directed student who has distinguished herself academically, artistically, athletically, and through service to her community. Graduating in the top 2% of the class with a remarkable 4.61 GPA and straight A's, Molly challenged herself with 13 honors and 6 AP college-level courses while earning recognition as an AP Scholar and induction to the National Honor Society, Tri-M Music Honor Society, Spanish Honor Society. A talented vocalist and performer, she was selected to All-State Chorus all 4 years, contributed to the success of the award-winning Honors Vocal Ensemble, and participated in multiple theatrical productions. Molly also excels as a varsity volleyball player, led her team to an undefeated season as Rhode Island state champions. That was awesome. Congratulations to this year's class 2026 salutatorian, Molly Souza. You gotta go all the way around. And tonight, let me see, we have the honor of also recognizing Senior All-State Mixed Chorus Choir. Oh, everybody's different here. Okay. Senior All-State Mixed Choir, Eleanor Auberge. No? All-State, Senior All-State Band, Julian Branchard. Congratulations, Zach. Go, okay. Senior All-State Guitar Ensemble, Julian Brochard. Wait a minute. Southern New England Honors Band, Julian. All right, 3 more times, bro.
Congratulations.
Juliana Bassen, I can't do this, Semeni. Thank you. She here? Lillian Cataro, Senior All-State Tremble Choir. Henry Knoyer, Senior All-State Band. Oh, wait. Henry is also Southern New England Honors Band. Congratulations. Luke Davis, John Faber, James Fashion, Anna Fecto, Anthony Houle, Anthony was Southern New England Honors Band and Senior All-State Band. Congratulations. Madeline Lapierre, Jack Latondras, Joseph McKitchen, Anna Mello, Mason Needham, Ava Nunez, Leah Peck, Milo Pence, Sheena Pollard, Luca Pollard, Lucy Rockwell. What's your name? You look at me. Avery Rue, Lauren Berry, Lincoln Shea, Riley Shields, Molly. Senior All-State Choir. Congratulations. Sylvia Spaziano, Owen Cherry, Christian Wagner, congratulations. And that's it for our home music crew. Congratulations. One thing about our music program, I hope you never feel like we take you for granted, because every time you come home from a trip, they go, oh, music won first place. Then we go, of course they did. They always do. But so don't let us ever take you for granted. Congratulations. You're amazing.
Number 5, public comment related.
Usually they can stay if they want. And just
Oh, I know. Well, they all want to stay. You're welcome to stay if you'd like, but if you'd like to leave at this time, it would not be considered rude.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I know they were waiting patiently. You know, dismiss them. Okay, number 5, public comment related to open session agenda items. Number 6, approval of meeting minutes.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the open meeting on May 28th, 2026.
Eileen. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the executive session meeting on May 28th, 2026.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can
All
I
in-
ask a question? I'm sorry, my brain is really bad right now, apparently. Was this a special meeting? Was I at this one? I gotta go back.
This, I don't think you were at this one.
I was, okay, so I'm
Yeah,
abstaining from
that's
both.
fine.
I didn't think I was there. Yeah, so I'm abstaining for both, please. Thank you.
So change it to 801.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And one abstention. Approval of monthly bills?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the monthly bills dated May 1st, 2026 to May 31st, 2026 in the amount of $1,165,053.07.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Finance update, budget and finance for the revenue and expense month of May.
So this is the regular report that Ann typically gives with our monthly revenue and expenses. We are at about 95% revenue, expense about 85, 86%. And we'll work at the, close out the year, and then in August, you'll know where we stand.
Thank you. Any questions? Number 9 is 2026-H8531, related to education compulsion attendance. Oh my goodness, that was a tongue twister.
I just asked this beyond, this will be repetitive because we also spoke about it at the Gloucester meeting, but there's a page 4 of 7 on the bill. Again, this was asked before. It was already heard and held for further study. But I just read out loud in the last meeting this piece, so I'll do it again. Notwithstanding any other provision of law, a local school committee may deny the approval of or defer action upon a proposed course of at-home instruction when the committee finds, based on the specific facts in the record, that approval at the time would be inconsistent with the law or not in the best interests of the child. I just shared in the last meeting that I felt, in my opinion, that it shouldn't be within the purview of the school committee to make a decision as to whether or not it's in the best interests of a child, of whether they participate in home instruction. That's just my opinion. I opened it up for discussion with other committee members, and I just wanted to make people aware of this.
Go ahead,
That's all.
Aaron.
Thank you. And Amy, like I stated before in Gloucester, I just want to say thank you again for bringing this up because, again, that section on page 4, the notwithstanding any other provisions regarding, my honest opinion is, who are we to dictate as to who gets to homeschool their kids or not? It is up to the parents. It is the parents' decision. It is the parents' right to choose what is best for their child. So I just want to say thank you again for bringing this up. I know that you stated that it was held for further study, but again, we're coming up. I know that the general session is over. However, again, January has the new session. We have elections coming up. So it's just a good thing to keep an eye on going forward, just to see about what actually comes down the line, and get out to possibly, and, you know, be against this bill, or at least in my honest opinion, and myself, be against this bill as a whole, because again, it is not up to us to decide who gets to homeschool, who, on top of who are we to decide.
Okay. Shelley?
I was just asking to clarify because I couldn't hear what Amy said, but you did say you were against it, so that's,
Yeah,
okay, that's.
yeah.
I
Just
couldn't hear
that
you if you
I
were-
don't think
I
it's
completely-
our
agree.
responsibility or,
We don't know anything. We're not doctors. We're not medical field. No, it's not. I agree. Thank you for bringing that forward. I
Yes.
agree.
thank you.
Any other conversation? Discussion? Thanks, Amy. Number 11 is superintendent's, nope, it's charter review. So this is yours.
Yes, I did ask that we bring this up, and again, I'm just going to reiterate, I am not asking for regionalization. I want that to be put out completely, but I wanted to possibly instruct our attorney, again, with everything that's been going on in terms of maybe adjusting allowing us, if the voters vote down a budget, to go back. I wanted to find out the process as to what needs to happen for a charter review committee, about what these not ramifications, but the specifications as to who can be on it, in terms of the public. So I would just like Greg to do some research into that. Again, I know with the General Assembly session being over, some of those we need to have General Assembly approve and possibly go forward on the budget, not budget, on a vote, I believe. I'm not sure. So this was one of the questions why I thought that we could have possibly a discussion about what needs to happen, because I know other committee members previously, I believe Pat Henry, when she was on this committee, asked as well. And I definitely think, again, this is a 55 euro document plus some. So I definitely think that,
Are you asking for a committee to be put together to review the charter?
yes. And to have Greg do some research as to what needs to
To
happen.
how to start the process? Okay. 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 Any questions for Aaron or discussion on this?
I guess for me, there just was a charter review. I know that. Are you speaking specifically to the school aspect of it, or just,
Different charter.
okay, the regional charter?
The regional charter, yes.
Thank you.
And bring in new ideas, et cetera, so.
Number 11 is superintendent's report. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the superintendent's report as presented in the packet.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. Number 12, semi-annual bullying report. You want to start?
Yep. Please, would you want to present it first? It was in our packet, so are we presenting
Yeah,
it?
it's in our packet, so.
So we're not doing, okay. So, overall, in this, sorry, I did it all on my phone. Let's see, go this way. Overall, there were 11 incidents on the last report and 13 on this current report that we received in this packet this evening. That's a total of 24 reported incidents, and based on reports from, and I know it's hearsay, but based on reports from my constituents, it doesn't look like all the incidences are reflected on this report. In addition to the report, there was from a middle school teacher, I received a direct message that there was a lockdown and police were called because of a bullying incident, and that doesn't seem to be on there either, because I got the date it happened. But nonetheless, after accounting for all the total number of school weeks, after vacations and breaks, there are approximately 33 weeks of school, and there have been at least 24 incidences of bullying. There were also constituent complaints that parents went to the police to report bullying after an unsatisfactory school administrative response, and multiple parents withdrew to homeschool because they felt the school wasn't doing enough to address the bullying. So with that being said, what is being done to address the bullying at the middle school? What will be different next year, since we have all summer to address these concerns? And are we using suspension penalties appropriately and effectively? Thank you.
So I don't know if you want a response now, but I just want to bring your attention to the report shows that things are reported as bullying, and then there's a finding as to whether they're bullying or not bullying. So there is a law that requires that, right? And we have bullying forms that are filled out. And so each one of those instances that is not given to you has a lot of documentation behind it. So I can tell you that there are some situations that students are behaving differently, and it's addressed. There's documentation behind any one of those. I will not, I cannot, you know that, speak specifically to
schools.
those situations.
13, but only 3 were bullied.
Good.
I guess my big concern is what are we gonna do? Because 33 is a lot total. 24, I'm sorry, 24 out of 33 weeks is a lot that were in this packet. So what are we gonna do differently next year to address these? Is it behavior? Is it the students? Is it, like, what is it? Like, what can we do to address these problems? The bullying, that's all.
So I've just cautioned on what's determined as bullying, and then sometimes it's just behavior that is not necessarily bullying, so there's a process that goes
Okay.
through it. But what I can say is, both schools look at the situations that they address them individually, and then they address the whole school.
But if they made it to the bullying report, doesn't that constitute as bullying?
No, if you look at the report in front of you,
Yep.
the second column says whether it was bullying or not bullying.
Oh,
Yeah.
So Shelley, of the 17,
yep, I see, yep.
3 were bullying, the
Yeah.
other 14 were
Three-
not.
Yep, so four,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So
they're not all
not all of
automatic.
them were bullying, but there was still enough for a student to make a concern. So it must have been behavior that was, I understand, yes, I understand, thank you. But what I'm trying, so it's still enough where a child's making a complaint? That's all I was trying to say. So are we doing suspensions? Are we utilizing
We are
those
complying with what we
punishments?
can for the Rhode Island Department of Education. You can't, the regulations changed in 2017, I want to say, where you have to be careful on what you suspend for. There are only certain actions that are suspendable. I can tell that there are other alternative plans, but each one of these has information that backed up. And as Mark stated, the bullying report requires you to say if someone said they were bullied, but then there's information or data collection, conversations with students, interviews that goes behind it to determine whether it was or was not bullying.
So can I just ask you to repeat what that RIDE report was, just so I can look it up myself? You said RIDE guidelines or?
Mike. Renee, Mike.
It is it's the Safe School Act. That's what it is.
Okay.
There's a form, each school, Safe School Act passed back in, I want to say 2012 or so, but schools are required to have a form that's completed and an
Every time, you're saying
Yeah,
every
got it.
time someone is like,
anytime something gets
Suspended.
brought up, no, not suspended,
Oh.
nope. Get brought up and say, I don't like what they posted on social media because they said really mean things about me. And then it's up to the administrators and or their team to investigate and find the truth behind it, who said what, and then issue consequences. Consequences are always to change behaviors. So these might not be repeat offenses either. They might just be 13 different situations.
I just want to, this has come up obviously twice a year, right? This bullying report for the length of my being up here. And I think partly what the community might be concerned with, and this is, I've verbalized my concerns, I think, to most people sitting up here. Obviously there's laws like FERPA, right, where there's privacy for students who are accused of things. So I think for parents, I think, while I appreciate the privacy factor that the law offers, what it does, the implication, I guess I would say, of it is that then the parent or the family of the child that may be victimized in some way doesn't have necessarily any closure or information as to what consequences are imposed for those children. And that's not, specific to the district, that's related to the way the law is written. So I personally, as a parent, I've experienced it myself, where things have happened that I wish didn't happen to my children in school, and we're not really privy to the information and the consequences. So I've talked about this, and I know we have some standing type of conduct policy that we already have in place. I have to look at the exact name of it. It's definitely been something that I've asked to review at the policy subcommittee level. Again, we would have to be cognizant of these state requirements, but we should have a conversation about how we can better offer some, just more information, or at least, I had spoken to people about this. There should be some type of structured response. I understand every situation is different, but if every situation there's a certain outcome, then maybe parents could have some get some information and know that something was done, because it's something that's done for everyone across the board. If the law needs to stay the law for privacy purposes, we still have to make sure kids are being held accountable for behavior that shouldn't be happening in our schools. Obviously, when those children leave the school, they then go into society, and if we have not offered a consequence that is a deterrent for future behavior, we're then just allowing that to continue into their adult years. And I think we have a responsibility as a school to respond to behavior that we don't want. And I'm not saying we don't respond. I'm saying, I'm not, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we have to, there's a discrepancy in information that's available to parents because of FERPA, in my opinion, I'm speaking for myself, that does not give parents the ability to know closure, right? Something like to know that, like if for example, a superintendent could say, this is what happened, this is the consequences that happened to the child, then as a parent, you're like, oh, those are the consequences. But when you don't know the consequences, you're then sitting there like, were there any consequences? I know, and I understand the law, but I'm just explaining the circumstance and the problem. I don't have the solution to change how we are interacting with the public or with parents who are concerned. But that is the issue, in my opinion. Thank you.
I just wanted to chime in very briefly, and that it must have been like 3 or 4 years ago when we got this report. It felt like it was very light. So while it's unfortunate that there's more incidents, I think it's probably moving in a place that's more reflective of what's occurring. And I know it's difficult to do, but thank you for encouraging the team to be a little bit more thorough with what's occurring here and report everything. I think part of that too, you see a lot of those non-bullying, we're probably getting more reports for things that are on the cusp of bullying, not bullying, and maybe things that we can't see that perhaps weren't reported before or weren't recorded in this document that are now. So I think that's good. Good in that we know it's being reported, bad in that it's occurring. What are we doing to encourage people to report incidents when they occur? I guess that's what I want to know. Like we're moving in a direction of being honest, and hopefully we're doing something to address them when they occur. But it sounds like there may be some incidents that are occurring that aren't getting reported. I don't know why. Do we do any sort of information sharing at the beginning of the year? If there's an incident, what does that look like?
So at the beginning of the year, there's definitely both schools do their opening assemblies. The information is shared with all teachers, all students. It's in our handbooks. The See Something, Say Something. We have an SRO at the high school that walks around regularly. Teachers are, I don't want to say trained, but they are encouraged to listen to what students are saying. They have their students every day. Relationships are important. They recognize if there's behavior that's inappropriate. Some of it is just those day-to-day interactions, but the upfront loading, the SRO present, we have our school social workers and school psychologists meet regularly. We have our your core class at the middle school that they're doing more SEL, the social emotional learning, on what kindness is and how you treat other people. And then if you're not treated kindly, what does that look like and who do you report it to? Because you don't have to report it to an administrator. It often doesn't get reported to an administrator. It gets reported to someone they like. So I'd say those are things that I can speak off the top of my head that I know. I'm sure there's much more detail that Ms. Marcotte and Mr. Grundell could share if you want that to be something that they dig further into.
I think we just need to advertise what the process is, and it sounds like we're doing it. If someone feels that they've been bullied, if someone feels that their child has been bullied, if someone witnesses bullying, they should report it to the principal or administrator or any adult that's in. Perfect. And if they're not getting the response they want from the first person they speak to, they escalate it, right? Okay.
I think there was also a policy we were going to review that was reporting related. That was in the last meeting. It came out when we were discussing our public comment policy and reporting. And just because at times the public uses public comment to come and report things, but if we don't have, like what you're saying, the communication with the public about there is this process, they don't know where to go look for it. So this is, the avenue that they come. So just to be more communicative about the process with which that we do have in place.
Any other discussion? Okay. Policies, first reading for personal electronic device policy. Is that
M-
Dave?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the first reading of the personal electronic device policy as presented in the packet.
Any discussion?
I do have one thing, Dave, this is actually gonna be for you. Just waiting for you to come up. So, I know within this policy, I'm looking at number 3, general expectations under the middle school where it says students in grades 6 through 8 shall maintain personal electronic devices in an off and away for the day status during the entire school day. Devices must be powered off or silenced, remain stored in lockers, and devices may not be visible or used during the school day unless explicitly authorized under this policy. I'm just a little hesitant on that. I definitely think that, again, in this technology age, I think that we all know, even in grades 6 through 8, they know how to put their phones, say, in airplane mode. I'm just hesitant about having them, say, store in a locker, especially if, say, again, not saying if anything was to happen, but if there was ever an emergency or whatever like that. Do you know what I mean?
So Aaron, our current procedure, excuse me, in the middle school is that exact line that you're reading there. So that is what we currently do at the middle school. That is right out of their handbook.
Okay. Okay.
So each student has their own locker, it's locked, and then they put their device in there.
Okay, so this is already in place.
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
So the whole reason for this policy is the Rhode Island General Law, 162143. So that goes into effect in August 2026. That states that there is no personal electronic device use in school buildings. That is a state law. So it is not allowed anything that has access to the internet.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So therefore, there will be a big change then here at the high school level next year because of this law,
That is correct, yes.
right? I'm just curious if this is, I imagine it's come forth because of the deadline of August, but I think that I just want to make a statement that it shouldn't go to a second reading on an agenda until it's in a policy meeting. So there should be another, we should have a policy meeting before this is approved, because we haven't had any. And then,
Mike?
Because they were required in August. We didn't do that. We had it.
right, no, I understand that, and I think the
we
AI
can do that.
policy is like, I don't have anything to really contribute to the AI policy, because that's not my area of expertise, but this, it does have an impact on mental health. It does have an impact on just the population. I think it's a bigger thing, and I think we should have, it should have gone to the policy meeting. In my opinion, it should have been a policy meeting first.
Amy, as much as I fully
Yeah.
agree with the importance of the process and the steps and the policy,
Yeah.
there are many times when we just say, we don't even put down the language, we just say, per state law. So we
Right.
just say, because the law changes, a lot of times we've created policies where it just says, per state, Rhode Island state law, because that way if it changes, the law changes with it. So we don't even have a say in this. I don't even know if the policy committee can even have a say. I understand what you're saying. Like I said, I completely support and understand the importance of the transparency and the steps that are
Right.
required, but this, we have no say. So I don't even know if it's worth even doing all the language.
Is this whole entire policy like?
That's what
does it
that's my
come
next
from?
recommendation.
Yeah, it's like, does it come from the
So,
state?
I
Like-
would just, if we could just clean it, just say per Rhode Island state law. House, like whatever, but unless you added stuff to it. If you added stuff to it, then that's something we
You
need
have
to
some
know.
flexibility
Yeah.
because the Rhode Island
to have
state
it
law
anyway,
says during
so.
school, but there's a question as to whether it's only during instructional time. So there are some schools who allow students to use them
Okay.
during the cafeteria, or, if they have a period that they're not doing work. So this limits the freedom to be able to have the phone and stay on it. Many schools have purchased those pouches, those yonder pouches, where they're locked up all day, and then you have to have a special. What I've heard and we've heard is that students have figured out how to buy the little key off Amazon and they
Oh my
unlock
God.
it, or they come in with a second phone. So this is really to ensure that we're following the regulations, and we're teaching our students how to be responsible adults. So if you're not supposed to use it during instructional time, you don't use it during instructional time, there obviously would be consequences but we're shifting a culture that for many years, I mean, we all have ours around, right? We're shifting a culture to move away from, move away from that. So it is following the law, but the law allows for, it's really for
Okay.
instructional time.
So with that being said, I agree with Amy.
Yeah, there's too much to discuss. I feel like there are potentials where
Well,
you have a conversation about
This is only a
what we feel as a committee should be our policy, right? Because there is flexibility within the state laws.
This is just a first reading, and I'm sure
yeah,
that
no,
we
and
can
all
schedule.
I said was that we just
Yeah.
bring it to a policy meeting before
I'm
it's
sure that
second
we
reading.
can schedule a policy meeting before our next meeting. So, can we vote on this one before we go to the next one, or, oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
Brendan first.
Yeah, no, so obviously this is state law. I don't think it's to folks who are paying attention to the legislature, such as it is, it's probably not news. It was big news when it was passed, when was that, like a year ago? It was over a year ago, and with the phase-in period. Having said that, I think it's going to be quite a culture shock for students, for family, and for the staff here who has to somehow enforce it. So I do think we need to start advertising out, one, that this is going to be in effect in the fall, so it's not, there's some time to
shock.
receive that.
Yes.
And two, just make sure that we have our affairs in order as far as what it looks like in practice, because I do think the best policy we have, if it's the law, we just say follow the law. But there's a part to this that is open to interpretation, so we do need to get that in line so people know what they're walking into.
I just want to add to that, we did know this was coming, right? It was
Yeah,
2 years
no,
ago.
I
And
get
so
it.
this past year, this is the practice. So the practice at the middle school is, it's not you don't have a policy that says that they have to keep them in their lockers, but that has been the expectation. We've had some bumps.
ninth graders it'll be easy for
But,
them.
but the high school team communicated that out at the beginning of the school year to all parents and students as well. And they've been pretty good at ensuring that students don't have their phones out during instructional time. So I don't think it's as much of a shock as we think, because the student expectation this year, now, are there students who will always take their phones out? Sure. But are there, once you have a policy in place, then the consequences are different. So I appreciate what you're saying, to dig in a little deeper. I want to also give Dave some credit, though. He did look at a lot of resources to be able to pull this together. So
No, I'm sure it's great. I just feel like
I'm
wanna
comfortable
be-
in saying that once you look at it, you'll see that it's comprehensive and thorough. But if you feel like certainly there's a piece that is missing, or maybe you want to help with what the communication plan is to parents and how we communicate that out come August, I think that would be really beneficial and
Even
helpful.
teachers to some extent too. I'm sure there are some that allow the use of devices to do some research and some pieces there.
Yeah,
That is in the policy.
And
it's addressed here.
It's addressed in the policy. If the teacher decides to use it
Yeah.
in the class for educational purposes, the students are allowed.
I do think that middle ground is probably a nice way to approach this, as opposed to sort of that hard, like you're putting in this folder and you're never going to see it. I think finding those spaces where it is fine, or it's a functional academic tool is a good middle ground. So
I'll just say this last thing, and this could be part of the conversation when we have it at a policy meeting, but I caution like limits, right? And then being flexible about limits, and then trying to then provide consequences for like breaking a limit or violating one. So if we're going to give discretion to teachers, I feel like that's probably not the best practice. If you're going to say something is allowed, it should be allowed. And if it's not allowed, it should be not allowed. When you create gray, there will be a lot more challenges, I feel like, to tease out. That's my opinion. And the last thing I'll say is, while I understand an adjustment period might be appropriate, so like it might be good to be lax, or
Oh, I don't think
not lax, but I do know that there have been instances where teachers have been lax, just based on what I know about the world. So I'm just saying, if we're going to give teachers that discretion, they're going to need support on that. And I think the adjustment, like if we're going to offer some bit of an adjustment period. We should also consider whether it's in the best interest of children and their mental health to be detached from the phone, to be honest. So that's why I would like to continue the conversation in the policy subcommittee meeting.
Any other discussion? Okay, so we're going to vote on it as a first reading only. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Stay right there, because number 2 is the artificial intelligence policy.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the second reading of the artificial intelligence AI policy as presented in the packet.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you for all your work on this, Dave. I was just going to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. And Amy, we'll let him know when we have a policy meeting, that way, since he wrote it, he can come. Okay. Number 14, capital projects update. Approval of bid for PMS PHS water heater.
Steve, do you want to talk about it or? No? Okay.
All you.
We have the proposals for both of the projects in the packets. We essentially have the lowest qualified bidder for both the middle school and high school there. The numbers are big, but they are what they are at this point. I don't know. Any discussion?
How many bids did we receive? Was that
It
all
was-
of them that was in the packet?
It's 2 for each project.
That was all of them. Sorry, we're still not getting many bids. I'm sorry, I should have.
That's okay, go.
We still aren't getting many bids on certain things.
Nope. We encourage folks to advertise to their whomever, if they wish to bid on these projects, to please do. We would love to have more competitive bids on all of the capital projects that are put out there.
So with that, do I have a motion?
Is that you?
I just have a question. Is there not any type of like state, like website or entity where bids such as this for public buildings get advertised? Like it's only through the town hall or town council? I'm just curious what the process is. And I'm just curious. Okay, there is a website.
Yeah.
Okay. Mhm. No, you answered my question. There is some type of public
Yeah,
entity.
it's not
Okay.
just like the local
Yeah.
bulletin board or anything
Okay.
like that. And the
Thank you.
reality is like a lot of these bidders are quite busy right now. So I think unfortunately we're in a position where we're competing for a limited pool of contractors to do the work. To an extent, so I think there's a little more security in the new construction. For these, there's a little more risk in that they're kind of doing it on their own. So for new construction, typically
Yeah.
Brandon, can you speak up?
these contractors would be working for a sub, so there'd be a little bit more security for them. So there's more risk when they do these.
All right, do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the bid by Phalanx in the amount of $217,860 to replace the water heater at Pontiac Middle School as presented in the packet.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We have a
Madam,
s- Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the bid by Phalanx in the amount of $428,140 to replace the water heater at Pontiac High School as presented in the packet.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? There's one more, Aaron.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve an evaluation by Alliance Environmental
Oh, there's
Group.
2 more.
Second.
Yes.
Okay. What will this report include? Is there, so that's cause I don't even know what this is. So I'd like to know what this report includes. Is there gonna be an RFP for this? Is it like, cause if it's going to be over, Alliance has been at the last 3 capital projects meetings, giving their opinions. So what will be in this report that's different than what they've done at the previous 2 meetings? If it seems that after all this time, listening to different people on this, the capital projects committee and us, we've been talking about this for a year. So it feels like we're struggling on the right thing to do. Am I wrong?
That's correct. That's why
Okay.
we're asking them to do this.
So so my question is, the district's purchasing policy states it is expected to seek bids on all purchases. Anything over $1,500 should have more than one bid, and anything over $5,000 will have competitive sealed bids. What is this evaluation going to cost approximately?
I think it's 17,000.
So that's just, I feel like we're throwing money in a hole, literally like an oil tank hole right now.
I can tell you what the background is, just so that
Yep.
folks are up to speed, and then what the logic is with this step, and then what the committee decides, the committee decides.
Brendan,
You have
can
to
you
be
talk?
louder.
Can you, yeah, I can't hear you at all with the.
Sorry.
thing.
Oh, a heater over there.
Oh, sorry about that. So essentially, the Capital Projects Committee has been struggling with the best approach to installing new fuel source for the heating system for the building, specifically the high school. There's been a lot of debate between whether or not it makes sense to have oil versus propane. Some electric is really what a lot of these facilities are doing throughout the state, but that doesn't make sense for a place like Ponegantsit for a variety of reasons. You know, we all live here and it's not necessarily the most reliable, which pushes us back towards those, you know, natural fuel sources. There's been a lot of dialogue and disagreement as to whether or not it makes sense to have an above ground fuel storage tank or a below ground fuel storage tank to replace that which is there presently. There's a reason that we're moving away from, or we're looking to replace the one that's there. Do we want to replicate that? Similarly, if we do an above ground tank, well, I know that there's a lot of space here. There's a lot of wetlands too. So there's questions about where it might be located, what that would cost, and what it would cost to get fuel from the space that it would be located to, you know, basically the burners. The third part of that is if we were to go that route, what it would cost to remediate or basically mothball, close up the existing tanks that were in place. So basically, if you went back with an in-ground tank somewhere other than where it's currently located, or if you went back with an above-ground tank, obviously somewhere else, what you do with that existing tank. So the costs and processes associated with that. The other option that was discussed but deemed we cannot do is to basically take that oil storage and put it inside the building, which it's just, we're not permitted to do that by code. The thought there was that where the current chip burner is, that might be a space that would be an opportune location for a tank, but unfortunately, laws don't permit it. These folks and I guess we should distribute this. I'm not sure why we haven't. I think we just got it. They're going to outline those options for us. They're going to do the wetlands. They're updating the wetlands demarcation, which would help us site not just an oil or natural gas storage, but primarily oil. But anything in the future, we would have an updated list of where the wetlands are. They are going to flag it. They are going to make some site visits here to basically mark it out. They are going to assist with documenting what they believe the cost would be for each of those options and what the preferred option would be, and what it would cost, if necessary, to close the existing tank that's there. And I think the last part would be if there was need for temporary fuel, what that would look like, where it would be sited, and how much that would cost. So it is a lot of money, but they are putting in a lot of work. And, you know, frankly, we're at a loggerheads as to how to proceed at this point. And this was felt by the committee as the best path forward to sort of resolve that difference.
So as I understand, there's been a lot of debate and a lot of conversation regarding this heating system, oil tanks, whatever we decide. But so the Alliance Environmental, would they be the ones that would be installing the underground tank? Who would be doing that?
Were we to take their recommendation, then we would, I believe, go out to bid for design and installation of a new system. So it wouldn't specifically be them, no.
But it may be.
Could be, sure.
So why aren't we going out for bid on this is my question.
We don't know what we're going out for bid on. We're looking for the best possible choice of those two, above ground or below ground.
So then why can't we, so if we're gonna pay $17,000 approximately, which very well, sometimes it exceeds that. No, is that kind of locked in? They can't?
I mean, never say never.
Okay, all
But
right.
I think there's
So-
low risk for escalation.
So my
'cause it's
question,
just design.
yeah, I know. So my question is, why can't we go out to bid for an above ground tank I know what you're saying regarding the wetland and stuff and the importance of that. I understand that and I respect that. But wouldn't it be more advantageous if we went out for bid to get a price on an above ground tank and an underground tank to see what the price would be? Because then it's competitive. You're getting different prices versus somebody like them telling us what the price may or may not be.
You
I
know,
Go.
Shelley, you're not making the decision on what tank. It's what's the most environmentally and safe place. Like, they're gonna do that whole assessment for us.
Okay.
It's not above ground tank or below ground tank.
They would also tell us.
They're gonna look at the dirt, has it leaked, how do we mitigate all that? So they're doing the whole assessment. So we all agree to go forward with them to do the assessment so we can make an informed decision on exactly, because no one knows right now what we're even dealing with.
The other thing is also like in terms of above ground or in ground. Again, if we chose the above ground, we would also need to find out where we can actually put it in terms of wetlands or whatever. And this review would actually allow us to map out, okay, this is the perfect spot for it. We can then go out to bid and say, okay, we're going to say, an above ground is probably going to be a lot cheaper than an in ground or whatever with everything. So this would allow us in order to say, okay, above ground, we have a space right here. This is going to be the amount of pipe that's going to have to go underneath in order to feed into the building. Okay, perfect. It's going to be, 215,000 compared to say, 350,000 for a below ground tank or whatever like that. So that's the reason, and that was the hypothesized why we were doing this in order to find out, okay, where on property can we put an above ground tank, especially with the wetlands, and especially with the wetlands always changing in terms of, we just got what, over an inch of water right now? And with the like that type of thing.
Okay, can I? So I appreciate the backup information, but still, I don't know why we didn't, are they on the master bid list? Because $17,000 is a lot of money. Why didn't, that didn't go out to bid to have the evaluation done, did it? Because I didn't see it. I went on the master bid. So with my question is $17,000, that's a lot of money. Why didn't that go out to bid?
We can go out to bid if that's what we want to do.
But don't we legally, according to our policy, don't we have to?
Greg, can you weigh in on that? Is that, I mean,
Things like legal services, engineering services, professional services are not subject to the mandatory bidding requirement.
Okay. I just don't think it's the best interest of the taxpayers, so I will be voting against it, but that's, I just.
No, and Shelley, I agree. Like in the meeting, I thought that at first too, because I was like, why are we doing this? We can't make our own decision. But at the end, there's a lot of discourse about this project, and I'd feel better if like we actually get they're gonna present us both options, and then we decide like based on the breakdown of both. Like I think it's just, and then that's what we put out to bid.
No,
And
it was more the evaluation itself is gonna cost $17,000. I didn't know, because according to, and I understand what Greg says, according to engineering, you don't have to. But it was just in the best interest of the taxpayers. I don't understand why this evaluation isn't going out to bid. That's what I was referring to, if they're not on the master bid list.
Well, in the best interest of the taxpayers, if we don't do this evaluation and we make the wrong decision, that could be even more expensive in the long
No.
haul.
I'm saying do the evaluation, but I'm saying go out to bid for this. They're not the only one that do the evaluations, is what I was implying. There's other companies that do the evaluation that may be cheaper. You don't know. Why isn't the evaluation going out to bid? That's what I agree. I understand. Because you just can't all of a sudden pull a straw and just say, yep, we're going to do an above ground tank today.
Right.
I understand. So it's incredibly important to know where that tank is going to go. Is it feasible? My question is, why didn't this evaluation go out to bid? It's $17,000 is a lot of money. That's all I was referring to, is the evaluation itself.
I disagree with that. I think the reason that we're going through this exercise is because we do. If we didn't care about the taxpayer, we had a bid to do this work for quite a bit of money that exposed us to a lot of risk and that we didn't feel like was in the best interest. So the reason that we're doing this is because we were concerned about the taxpayer and making sure that we're making the right decision. And I get it. It's a lot of money. We all live here. We all pay these taxes too. The reason we're going through this step is to make sure that we're all 100% confident that we can stand behind what's being recommended as the best of choices that we don't always want to make. Like, I'd rather not be replacing a heating system, but sometimes these things occur, right? So we want to make sure that we're making the best choice we can make of those available to us. And this is what we need to do to make it happen.
$1,500 to make your own decision, $5,000 or more, it has to go to bid.
If you want to make a public comment, can you come up to the mic, state your name?
Everybody knows who I am.
I know, but let's just go through the process.
Larry Daniel
Thank you.
Foster.
Put your mic on.
You just said earlier, $1,500, if I understood correctly, you don't have to go out for bid. Anything over $5,000 has to go out to bid. But you got a $17,000 bill and never went out to bid.
Shelley just had that clarified. Do you want to?
Well, Greg did. I'm not gonna, Greg said it was engineering. He said, I don't know if it's true or not, but that's the attorney. I'm not gonna repeat what the
There's
attorney said.
certain items such as engineering that don't require us to go out for an RFP.
And then if it's an above-ground tank or an underground tank, either one leaks, you're gonna end up with the same problem,
Right.
you know? And I mean, the chance of a brand-new tank leaking within the next 50 years is slim to none. Because the tanks, they're made to certain specifications. I mean, it's not like it's a oil tank in a house. My grandmother replaced, her house was built in the 60s. They just replaced the tank last year. You know?
You're right.
But I don't know. It's just, I think that, you know, $17,000, I think Shelley's right. I mean, it should go out to bid.
Okay. Thank you.
Brendan, to your knowledge, since you know more about this than I do, because I'm not sitting on the capital subcommittee, are there other companies that do the same work?
I'm sure there are, yeah. I mean, I think this is one that's been to this particular location. They're familiar with the site. They're familiar with our group and what we're looking to do. So I do think inherently you'll get, I mean, you lose a little bit of the cost associated with spooling someone up on the project. I would also say that design fees are very expensive. So no matter what you do,
So
it's
likely
gonna be
another
around
company
that.
would be similar or in the same ballpark where you can't speculate
I mean,
necessarily.
I can't,
Yeah.
I can't speculate, but I do think that there's some benefit to being familiar with what the question being asked is, who's asking it, what options have already been considered. I mean, there's already been some time invested by them in that.
So it's the recommendation of the Capital
Yeah.
Projects Committee to move forward with this.
It is.
Aaron? Yes, okay. So can I have a motion? Oh, I have a motion. Aaron, and I have a second, Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm voting no. Thank you.
Abstentions? And letter C.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the resurfacing/repairing of the PHS tennis courts.
Any discussion?
So, oh, I guess we don't have to discuss it, but this has been a project that's, you know, we need to do it. Honestly, the tennis courts, they need to be repaired so that they can play on them competitively, not just for the high school teams, but also we do support some of the town rec leagues. We did have some spirited conversation and debate about this as well. I think part of this, we're going to be getting what the maintenance program is too, so that hopefully we can extend the life of this resurface court further than the present one. That being said, we are in Foster-Glocester. It's cold, it's warm, and you know it's resurfacing. So
Yeah.
I don't know that this is a 20-year fix, but it's what's required to keep us moving forward at a high quality level for the
Thank you.
foreseeable future.
Yes.
Sorry, there is no dollar amount here. So are we going out to bid on this, or what are we doing with this?
We already went out to bid. I think we went out to bid, then we went back and renegotiated with them. I'm not sure why there's not a dollar attached to it in the motion page.
Is there a dollar amount in the, because I didn't see a dollar amount in the packet either. Is there?
I'm not sure if Steve has it or not. I didn't get it.
Yeah, I have the approximate
He's getting
number,
it.
but
Thank you.
I'll defer to Steve.
Aaron, you have it?
I don't.
I understand it's incredibly important, and I'm not disputing that. I just like to know what we're approving. If it's $50,000, $100,000, 25, I think it's important.
For the full resurfacing and crack repair with the armor membrane system, it's $123,196 for 6 quarts.
For 6 quarts.
And just to note, there is in excess of basically 1,700 feet of cracks that need to be repaired. Membrane.
Grass? Did you say grass?
Grass.
Oh, I thought you said grass. I'm like, what are you redoing to?
In excess of
Got it.
300
Yeah.
feet width.
So, may I ask the process? Can I ask the question? Are they sealing? Are they putting in the crack sealer and then they're resurfacing the whole thing? Is that the process, or are they digging it up? They're
Yeah,
not
it's
digging
more
it
than
up.
that even.
It's more than that, right? So basically, they remove the old surface.
Oh, they are removing the old surface.
Well,
Okay.
they grind it
It's
down to
Garrett's
an extent, just basically the whatever coating they put on. That gets ground off. They put a membrane, a crack that gets a couple layers of adhesive. The crack are filled with some sort of polymeric sand of some sort. And then they resurface, repaint all the quartz thereafter. So at the end of it, theoretically, you should have 6 brand new quartz, all resurfaced. All the footings for all the net holders will all be re-anchored. So basically, it should be brand new quartz. And everything comes with a 1-year labor and 1-year product warranty.
And Steve, do you remember offhand what the new cost was too? Because that is something that we looked at. I want to say it was like
Yeah,
10 times
the
that.
new cost so they don't really recommend installing asphalt quartz anymore. They basically, it's all post-tension quartz, and we're up in excess of around $1 million. So to reinstall 6 new tennis courts out there, you basically have to remove all the existing asphalt courts, remove all the fencing, 4 new post-tension concrete surfaces. Yeah, we're roughly $1 million.
Okay. Thank you.
So
We'll resurface.
yeah, when we did have some dialogue, like I said, with them to try and make sure we understood the scope and it was the best possible option that we could pursue. So
Just for maintenance purposes, I know this hasn't been done in a while. How often can we put this on the radar? How often should this be done? 2, 3, 5 years? I don't know.
Something as simple as when we first started up here, we cut all the trees down. Mold
Yep.
growing on that surface is actually like the number one, item that will, basically,
But
degrade the surface. So when we first started up here, we did a substantial amount of tree removal, cut everything back, make sure our courts get full of water. Something as simple as on rain days, run out there with a squeegee if we get puddling. So minimal what seems to be day-to-day maintenance can go a long way.
okay, thank you. I used to know if we should revisit this, if it should be on a radar somewhere.
I'll wash the courts once a year, get rid of all the standing, all on dirt.
Yep.
Simple.
That deteriorates it. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Facility update.
So we'll keep this brief today. So successful year, another successful graduation has come and gone. Just the Alliance Environmental Group is on the state master purchasing agreement, just for the committee's awareness. Summertime shutdowns are in full swing, and that's basically about it at the time being. We have the boilers being replaced and everything's moving forward accordingly. Pretty much it.
Thank you, Steve. Amy, subcommittee structure and calendar?
In your packet, there are 2 templates. There are suggestions of how we go about structuring subcommittee meetings so that they happen as often as they should happen and don't, we're not in a situation where we're scrambling to have meetings throughout the year because of things changing. We had a brief discussion in the Gloucester meeting prior to this about how it would be helpful for each subcommittee to have a conversation about the time frame that their meetings should occur, frequency, and then attempt to come up with the most consistent meeting schedule they can. Obviously, you know, to finish out the year might be different than, well, will definitely be different than what they do in January. But just to get us started with some type of formalized structure so that the meetings are, the community knows when the meetings are happening, should they want to participate, so that it's not something they have to continually check state websites for. And then also for subcommittee representatives such as us to be able to be available to attend the meetings that we agreed to be a part of.
Does anybody have any comments or questions for Amy?
I thank you, Amy. I think it's incredibly important. I think it's good for people to plan their lives accordingly. It's what we kind of do around our meetings now. So I appreciate you for doing this. Thank you. Can we put this on for future agenda items to have further discussion?
Yeah, I asked that it be a standing agenda item until we're able to kind of come up with
Thank you.
something.
And we discussed this at the local level, right, prior to this meeting, and if there is a subcommittee meeting, that somebody take the initiative to take the lead role of that committee and kind of discuss with their group how often they'd like to meet and what months or times of year they think, and so that way when you come back, we come back in whenever, we can start to build some type of calendar.
Can I just add an ask to that, that as you build this, that if there is consistency, if there are a capital projects meeting for the region and one for Gloucester, that it's on the same day, or you're mindful of staff who are shared.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great idea.
And we
Uh,
can, Amy, I can help you. We can do it in July, and I'll just go through each committee, and I'll send you out what days are good, what times are good, and we'll try to put something together, and how many times you guys want to meet as a committee. And we'll try to start there and start in August, you know. in
Right, and then
August.
if there are members such as facilities for capital projects,
Right.
they could get the same
Right.
questionnaire,
Yeah.
essentially. Okay, thank you.
And you have the next one as well, update the fiscal strategy and advocacy working group.
Yeah, I just said in the last meeting that based on the things that are still currently unfolding, specifically in Gloucester about the budget, but also in the region regarding the budget, that I'm just pausing because there's no sense in having a meeting with no, you know, clear direction. So we can wait till some of this gets resolved and then see where we stand about setting the next one.
Thank you. Well, number 18, review the advisory opinion. And Greg, I'm going to defer to you to explain from the Commissioner of Education regarding the financial regional meeting motion. Do you want me to cut them, to make the cuts? We have an advisory opinion. Can you
Certainly.
elaborate?
Absolutely. As the committee will recall, after the financial meeting, we had some discussion as to the propriety of the cuts that were made at that meeting and how to get an answer to them. I sent a request for an advisory opinion to the commissioner, and I just want to make it clear, I only sent the request regarding the 882,000. I did not send the request for the maintenance of effort of 154,000. Those requests were sent by the two town solicitors on behalf of the town councils. I have to thank them because I think their sending that request probably is what prompted the commissioner to give us such a quick reply. I think if the only request was our 882, we might still be waiting for an answer, but getting another request by the town councils, I think, was the impetus to move this forward. So appreciate that, even though I didn't know that the council solicitors were going to do that. I had sent them a letter asking them for their position on it, and instead of responding to me directly, they filed the request with the commissioner. The upshot of the opinion, and it is an advisory opinion, but I will emphasize the Commissioner of Education is the one in charge with the interpretation of school law. Courts in this state have given great deference to the commissioner's interpretation of school law. So I would have no doubt that if in some manner or form this would ever get to a court, I don't quite frankly see how it would, but if it did, I think the courts would defer to her opinion here. With regard to the 882, I did give the commissioner some of the background of how that cut happened. You'll note at the bottom of the first page, there's a link to the meeting minutes of April 14th, of the April 14th meeting. I understand there's some question as to whether or not I was not forthcoming to the commissioner about the fact that at the March 24th meeting, the voters voted down the original budget. But the commissioner certainly knew about it, because if you click on the link to those minutes, they take you to the April 14th minutes, and in the April 14th minutes, there was a review of the prior session, which included the fact that on March 14th, the original budget was voted down. So any suggestion that I hid that, or that the commissioner didn't know what had happened at the prior meeting is just wrong. With regard to the 882, my concern, as I expressed it to the commissioner on your behalf, was the effect of that cut was to limit your ability to expend revenues that you got from outside sources other than local appropriations, state aid, CTE tuitions, things of that sort. And I think the commissioner made it very clear. And if you go to page 4 of the opinion, he says quite clearly, it is apparent that the authority of the electors at the financial meeting is limited to holding a vote to adopt the annual budget as presented. Those electors have no authority to modify the committee's final adopted budget, reallocate or restrict the use of district funds, regulate expenditures, or otherwise exert any manner of control over the disposition of district revenue, which all of which remains within the exclusive jurisdiction of the committee. That's about as powerful a statement as I could have asked for the commissioner. The voters, no one else, has the power to restrict your authority to expend those revenues. And that is, I think, the upshot of this decision, I think, is very, very important going forward. I will note that there seems to be some question in this opinion. The commissioner in another location talks about the fact that what do the voters vote on as to the overall amount? And there's a suggestion in here that perhaps what should happen is you present the budget and they vote it up or down, and that's it. Similar, I think, to what the Gloucester Town, I don't know about Foster, but I think the Gloucester Town Council now, or Gloucester budget is done that way in an all-day referendum. Here's the budget. We're asking for $400,000 more, yes or no. If they say yes, you get the 400. If they say no, you get 0, and you go back to last year's budget. That's not how your practice has been up here. And that's not how I have advised you, and other lawyers that have represented you have advised you. The history up here has been, when it gets to the financial meeting, voters can add or subtract to the overall amount. What makes this different, what was unique about this year and what happened this year were two things. You asked for 0% from the local appropriation. If you had asked for $400,000 more from local appropriations, the history would have been, voters would have said, okay, take the 400,000, yes or no. If they say no, let's add, we'll make it 500,000 or make it 300,000. And there are decisions I have from 2007 when the voters added, I mean, it was a rare occasion, but in 2007, they added $212,000 to your budget. The town of Gloucester refused to pay it, went to the commissioner, and the commissioner ordered them to pay it. There was another decision from Foster from 2011. I think John Anderson might have been representing you at the time. Similar situation where the town of Foster refused to pay. So there is a kind of an open question, I think, that we're going to have to talk about before the next financial meeting next year, or you're going to have to talk about. And that is, if in fact you do ask for more money, you ask for, and most likely you will not, well, who knows, but if you ask for more than 0, will the voters be able to vote will there be leeway for the voters to vote more or less without going below that zero? So that's one question I think that's potentially as a result of this. Again, it's not relevant to this year, but it's something to think about and talk about going forward. But the other part of it, which is not in dispute, is under no circumstances can the effect of what the voters do limit your ability to expend your revenue, outside revenue. So those, I think, are the two most important things you get from that part of the opinion. With regard to the maintenance of effort issue, the town made a kind of a unique argument that regardless of where the debt service was located, they get to cut that from your maintenance of effort, even if it was not in your operating budget. Commissioner shot that down pretty hard. Absolutely not the law. If the debt service was never in maintenance of effort, which was in this water bond clearly was not, you never even get to that discussion. And you can't use that as an excuse to cut your maintenance of effort number. So those are the two main points of the opinion. I think it's helpful. Based on this, there's nothing for you to do. You have your budget. Hopefully the towns will abide by this and give you the full amount, including the 154, and whatever additional state revenue you get, whether it's 3 million in CTE or 5 million, I'm not sure what the actual number is, what your state aid number is. Whatever that money is that you get in, roughly $18 million, that is completely within your discretion as to how you spend, as long as it's on school purposes. So I'll take any questions that the committee may have.
Thank you for for clarifying and explaining that to all of us. I believe, Shelley, you had a question?
Yeah, that's okay. So my concern is essentially the budget got voted down. So it got voted down twice. So since there is no approved budget, are we having, just like you said, it goes back to the previous year's budget? You did say that just in your statement a few statements ago. So there is no approved budget. Did it go back to the previous year's budget?
So I will clarify. There's two parts of your budget, the local appropriation and your non-local revenue. Your local appropriation, you asked for zero. Whether they voted that up or down doesn't matter because you're still at zero. You can't go below zero. So it's irrelevant what the voters voted, whether they voted yes or no on the local appropriation. With regard to the revenue, that is within your discretion solely. The vote is illegal, ultra-virus. It is of no effect on your ability to expend non-local revenue, that $18 million or so. So that is your budget, and that's what you get to spend.
So at the May 7th, the school committee meeting, was at the April 7th school committee meeting, when we asked you what was this taxpayers only option, and you said reduce spending, that was an incorrect statement then.
I'm not quite sure what the question was at the time. I know that there's been some, people have said, well, you said you can cut the budget. I tried to give the context of what cutting the budget meant. If you had asked, I was saying it in a general sense, not with respect to this specific budget. What I was saying is, if you were asking for more money, the voters had the leeway to either add to that or subtract from it. Or even if you asked for zero, the voters had the ability to add to that, but they couldn't go below zero. Those are two separate concepts. So if I was unclear about cutting the budget in that context, I apologize if I wasn't clear, but I think I think I was pretty clear. You can't go below maintenance of effort number. And I have been saying from the beginning, I could not comprehend how people thought they could cut your ability to expend revenues. It made no logical sense to me. I remember asking Ann Goudreau at the meeting, what happens if you abide by this and don't spend the money, where does it go? It goes to your fund balance. That seemed to me, and that brought up the whole discussion of supplanting. So I think I'm glad I was proven right on that point.
Thank you, Greg. Brendan?
Thank you for the summary. Obviously, I think it's a very it's a tough topic, right? There's a lot of emotion on either side, understandably, and there's a little bit of confusion. I think what I would look for would be, can we send some sort of memo to the two towns just summarizing exactly what our intent is to proceed? And ahead of next year's financial town meeting, if we're going to be doing anything differently, just to summarize what that might be, what that might look like, with enough time for them to react and at least be aware of what our plans are if they differ from what we've always done traditionally. What most important, though, I think, is there is a lingering question about what our budget is. I understand what you're saying, and I do think I follow. The only legal action would have been to raise the budget based upon it being a zero. But I do think we owe them a courtesy of just a letter or note just summarizing what we're doing so that they're in the loop.
The question about the budget we presented is our current budget.
I understand. I think we just need to kind of convey that with the logic that Greg just presented so that, we kind of close the loop. This is what we're doing.
Okay.
And where is the current budget listed for people to, yeah. So it's on the website. People want to reflect back to what it is. It's there. Yeah.
Yes, Shelley.
Did we ever get any information that homeschool students are counted in the enrollment as far as charging the towns? Have we ever gotten any information regarding that you do in writing, that you do in fact, you charge for homeschool students? Have we gotten anything in writing? Because that's like, this is a bigger issue. So let me finish up. This is a bigger issue because if we knew how many kids were being counted as homeschool kids, we could have been cut more than the 154. So yes, please answer. Did you get anything in documentation that you can in fact count homeschool students?
So, no, and I didn't ask for that because the towns did not, the purpose, it was never mentioned or moved or argued that the $154,000 cut was because of a decrease in population. So the commissioner, that was not presented to the commissioner. Commissioner did not opine on it. It was irrelevant to the whole issue. So no, we didn't, it wasn't part of the conversation at all.
I do just want to say something, and it comes from a different, I think, perspective on the homeschooling piece. But I think the public should know, and I mean, I personally would like to know, if the district does collect money for homeschooled students, because I think that's information that the public should know. If I decide to homeschool my child and the district still collects monies for that child, that's information that parents should know. That's information that the public should know. So I think, I don't know, obviously in the context of what Greg is talking about, it was a moot point, but I don't think it's a moot point overall. So I think we could, I don't know who, is the right person to ask about that or how, but we should probably document that. I mean, it comes from a different place, but in the times that we're in, these are questions that parents want to know, myself included. So I'm just putting that out there. And I just want to say thank you to Greg for the thorough work. It's always thorough and detail oriented, and I really appreciate your work on this. Thank you.
Any other committee members? Go ahead, Larry.
I just like Larry Daniels Foster. I just like to know, why are we still discussing this when the taxpayer said we voted what we voted, should be end of story. Do you realize, Gloucester, you guys take 76% of Gloucester's taxes? Have you driven around Gloucester and seen the roads? Have you seen on social media people complaining about the roads in Gloucester? I mean, come on. You guys just keep taking and taking and taking. You can't come up with and slash 154,000 from your budget. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of waste going around in the school.
We presented a budget We just got an advisory opinion that says our
And we
budget
s-
is,
and we
is
said-
appropriate.
No, we voted on what we voted on, and it should be it. It should be null and void. It should be done. Why are we still pushing it? Then you're threatening to take the taxpayer to court. We, the taxpayer, pay for these attorneys.
Actually, the town council sent and asked for one advisory opinion, and we sent another. Your own
It's
town,
just-
town council also asked for an advisory opinion.
No, I understand that, but
Okay.
I was at the Foster Town Hall speaking with the woman there. She doesn't even know how many students from Foster go there because she sent the email over and never got a reply. I mean, granted, that was last month I was there. And I will go there tomorrow because I'm gonna have the day off because it's raining, and I'm gonna find out if she did get a reply back.
I would encourage you to have her email me directly. I don't know who the email would have gone
She's
to. but
I
if it
think
did-
she emailed you directly.
Why don't you
And
have
if
her
I
c-
remember.
Why don't you have her call me, because I have not received an email with that question, and I
So in
certainly
other
would
words,
respond.
you never replied, we still don't know how many students we're paying for.
Mr. Daniels,
All right, I
don't
have to
know-
keep
yeah.
this,
Yeah.
with all due respect, I have to,
I just want to say something because I just don't think that two things can't be the truth, right? At the same time. The things that you're speaking to, I don't think any person sitting up here wants the roads in Gloucester to fall apart, wants Gloucester not to be able to afford to pay for recreational facilities and the libraries and all the things that they provide for the remainder of the constituents and the public, right? And I think part of the problem is the cost of everything. Another part of the problem is that
76% you guys get
okay,
from Gloucester.
I hear you, and I let you finish, so I would like to finish what I was saying. I think part of the issue is that, there systematically, everything is built in such a way that there isn't enough to go around. That's the reality of the situation. So we could sit here and argue and fight about it when we probably agree with on many things that we haven't talked about here. Or we could, that was the whole premise behind the working group, was to work together to see where and who do we need to talk to, because we're all doing our job. We're paying our taxes. We are sitting up here and, representing our community in positions because we're here out of the goodness of our hearts, because we're not here for a paycheck. So if anyone else wants to come up here out of the goodness of their heart and collect the paycheck that we're getting, you have honestly a week. You could go to the town clerk's office, you can get a piece of paper, you could get people to sign that paper, submit it back to them, and you can be on the ballot and you can serve as a public servant, if you'd like, right? I'm not saying you should or you should have to, but the reality of the situation is there's not enough to go around. Everything is too expensive. The students need services. They need an education. So unless there's a larger decision at the state level, we at the town level are subject to following state law and doing what we're supposed to do. We didn't ask for more money. It's the same money. There's a law that says we get the same money we got last year. We're not asking for more money. So perhaps this movement...
The people can't afford it. What don't you understand? You're driving people out of their homes. I mean, come on.
Well, I hear you. I get it. I really do. But we
can't afford it.
single-handedly,
You're pushing
the
elderly
people...
out of their
No,
homes
I'm
that have
sorry.
lived there for
Now you're out of
50,
line because you're
60
talking
years.
over
Okay.
me.
we can
so-
only have one person talking. Sorry, Amy.
I just wanted to say that perhaps the energy that you're directing at us who are sitting in the same boat could be directed somewhere else and be more effective. That's all.
Well, maybe we should get somebody like Elon Musk to come and find all the waste in the school. Instead of
Elon
hiring
Musk does
somebody
not
to-
care about Gloucester, Rhode
Nonsense.
Island, I promise you that. I think if you would like to find someone who does, it's an election year. So
That's right, it is an election year, and
elect.
I hope
Yeah.
more than three-quarters.
Don't
of
you
these
worry about it,
are gone.
because many of the people you see sitting up here will not be running to sit up here and be, no, and be yelled at
I need to keep
in a
this.
meeting,
I
so
need to,
that's fine. You
Okay.
can run
And
yourself.
then, I think Cindy Joyce and her son shouldn't even be on
Okay,
here because
sir,
it's a
did I
conflict
respect
of
you?
interest
Listen to
because
me.
your husband works at the school.
There's an ethics commission, and the ethics commission would be someone you'd bring it, your
Amy,
concerns. No,
you're-
no, but he's
Just a
he's
minute, you're
wrong,
out of order,
so
you
I'm
need to
letting
take
him-
a seat.
No, I'm
It's
out
not-
of order. No, you people need to learn.
You're
that
out of
you're
order.
taking 76% of Gloucester's taxes, and I'm sure Foster's not far behind.
Thank you.
Enough with it.
Thank you,
You're just bleeding us dry.
thank you. Shelley?
If I could follow up on what Amy said about going below zero, you actually in fact can when there's a reduction in population. And if we are, the numbers look like, and we admitted that we are charging for homeschool students, which is a minimum of 67. And if I do the calculation from what the slides presented and what the enrollment numbers is on our portal on Pontiac, and then compare it to RIDE, there's a minimum, anywhere between 67 students and 84 students that are counted as homeschool, and I'm not saying it was intentional, but if that information was provided accurately at the financial meeting, there could have been a legal reduction made, but that information was not provided.
How much would that legal reduction have been?
60 times quite a bit more. So 67 students.
Okay, we need to, again, I'm
No,
gonna
I get
try
it.
my best to keep this.
Moving.
It's over $1 million. just so
Shelley,
you know.
I'm gonna try my best to keep this according to our agenda, so that we don't break any open meetings.
That's fine.
Okay,
but
the
we were talking-
agenda,
okay.
okay. Walter, is this regarding
Yes, it is.
the advisory opinion? Thank you.
Walter Steer. Yeah, I can see where Greg's coming from with the 882 and the 135. You had an advisory opinion, which I think somebody else might have a different opinion, but you've got that. But when you say you have a budget, you don't have a budget. You don't have a budget until the people of this town vote to approve a budget at a financial town meeting. And that has never happened this year.
Yes, Greg.
All I can do is keep reiterating what the
Always.
commissioner said.
The
which is-
commissioner,
Okay, Walter, here's the two ways to look at this. We gave you a
turned
level,
into a
here,
communist country.
Walter, do you agree that the law states that you can't go below zero?
Yes.
Okay, we presented a budget.
But wait a minute, Cindy, that's not the full law. You
No.
can go below
All
zero
right.
when there's a reduction in population. So if you're gonna
Shelley.
state the law, I'm sorry, but if you're gonna
But
state the law,
the
wait a
commissioner
minute.
didn't ask, the commission, the
But that's
towns
not the
did not
information you
ask.
provided to the taxpayers. The
We don't need
taxpayers
to,
were
we
given
don't need to
incorrect
yell to
information.
make our point, though.
Shelley,
No,
please
if
let
you're gonna
Greg.
State the law, state the full law.
We don't, if
Can
this
you-
conversation should continue, it should be at a normal
I agree.
decibel and
I agree.
and not talking over each other, please.
Thank you. Greg?
Just keep reiterating. I didn't write the advisory opinion. The commissioner, who is given the authority by state law to interpret state law, who is given great deference by every court in this state when she has given these types of advisory opinions, has given the opinion that taxpayers at the financial meeting cannot restrict your expenditures of outside revenue. So when your budget that you prepared included 18 million or so of outside revenue and had expenditures based upon that revenue, that is solely within the discretion of this committee. The committee has a budget that says that. It's a budget. It's a projection. It will probably change as the year goes by, as it always does. But that's your budget. There is no reason to do anything further than that. And to say that you don't have a budget is just not a statement of fact of what's going on. As for the 154 cut for maintenance of effort, I didn't ask the commissioner for the advisory opinion. The towns did. And nowhere in the town's request did they bring up the issue of declining population or homeschooling. The towns could have brought it up and they didn't. So I don't know why we keep going back to that point. It's irrelevant to this discussion.
It's in the charter. The taxpayers at the financial meeting shall approve a budget.
As to
And
overall
we
budget.
haven't approved a budget yet.
Okay.
So does anybody on this committee think you have a budget approved by the taxpayers?
When it, yes, we have the budget we presented is now our working budget. A level
It
funded
was
zero
never been
budget.
approved. Who approved it? You people did, but you didn't get the consent of the public. As far as I'm concerned,
All due
Thank
respect,
you.
my opinion on this, and this is my opinion, I'll speak for myself since everyone else is getting. When the town financial meeting process is followed correctly, the town votes on the budget. Based on the commissioner's interpretation and an opinion, it wasn't, the motions that were made in the meeting were not correctly made. So while I understand the new point around homeschooling and the dollar amount assigned to that, that sounds like something that if the town feels, or members of this committee or the town feels is important to iron out, perhaps that's one to be done for the next budget so that your numbers could be accurately reflective of that issue if you're addressing it. But that's the newer issue, not the issue that was actually made in the meeting when the cuts were made that have been decided upon by the Commissioner of Education were not correctly made in the meeting. So how is it the school committee's fault that the motions that were made at the town financial meeting were incorrectly made?
you have a man right there that should have stopped the vote,
And
because it was an illegal vote.
okay, do we have any other questions or concerns regarding the advisory opinion?
Well,
That
I just
was-
hope the town of Gloucester and Foster take you to court over this.
Okay, Walter.
Because, you know, how are all these people that went to these meetings twice and voted twice not to approve a budget, now you're telling them the budget's approved?
We're not telling them.
Yes, you are.
The
You said
commissioner.
you're using their
the
budget.
We got an advisory
You
opinion that
move
we're
up public
following.
comment until, before, executive session.
Okay. Is this about the advisory opinion?
It is.
Okay.
I'm sure everybody here wants to hear my opinion. You've been reading it. So, the advisory opinion, Greg, in all due respect, you did creative accounting. I mean, my hat's off to you. You were able to take almost $1 million increase and call it a 0% increase to the taxpayers. Well, that may be so, but you went from, you got a 32,208,000 and change. That was last year's number. You came in this year's number with the 33,091,080. Am I correct? I think I am. I'm reading the motion right here. So you're saying it was a 0% increase to the taxpayers of Foster and Gloucester. How does that happen? It happens one of two ways. You've got hidden revenues that you didn't divulge, or you're taking money out of the fund balance to offset the impact to the taxpayers. But you're still dealing with almost $1 million increase in this budget. The people said no the first time. And then what was happening? Cindy, no offense, your husband running around telling people that if they don't vote for this, the angry parents are coming. The next meeting, the angry parents came.
Okay.
Okay? And it got voted down. And then it got voted to reduce by the 882 that everybody has a problem with. Take it on the chin. Yeah, I know the town of Gloucester, they probably put the 882 off to the side, or the amount to pay their share of it. I would never suggest to pay that. I would never suggest to pay that.
Can I clarify one thing,
That's
Gary?
about the advisory position. As far as the Department of Ed, I don't think that they
No
have
one's paying.
the jurisdiction to give that
Mr. King,
opinion.
no one's paying the 882. The 882 is
I can't hear
anticipated.
you.
No one is paying the 882 and has to shove it aside. The increase in expenditures of 882 is tied to the expected revenue increase of approximately the same due to tuition increase, state aid, all when the budget is presented and created in January, are unknown numbers. Now, here we are in June, I can tell you that we will have the tuition and state aid. I don't know if you're aware, but state aid came in higher than expected for Gloucester as well. Good news. So the 882 is not anything that someone needs to tuck aside. We worked very hard to create a budget that had a 0% increase to local appropriations because of this, because of
I
the
know how much
situation
work it is to do
that
the budget.
Gloucester, because of the situation that Gloucester is in. Last year, we took a reduction of about $240,000.
Yeah.
You can shrug, but the reality is that the 882 increase is expected to have the revenue to support it. So the taxpayers do not have to have an increase. It's a 0% increase to local appropriations, and we work very hard on that budget. You can try to paint a different picture, but that's the truth.
Well, the truth ought to be the taxpayers can only vote on your total expenditures that you're looking for, right? So you bring forward a budget of $33 million, we either vote it up or down. Because that's what we're told, that's all we can do.
Okay.
And we did that.
You guys are just playing with the numbers on the students. You're fudging all the numbers. Nobody knows how many students from Gloucester. Nobody knows how many students from Foster, and nobody knows how many students from other towns.
Again, can you keep your comment to the advisory
I mean,
opinion?
it's just, you're playing games.
Okay.
That's why nobody trusts anybody up here, including him.
Okay. Yes, Greg?
No,
No.
I'm not, it's not to address that, it's to address something Mr. Mara said.
Okay.
I just want to be clear, no, you suggested we send a letter. Oh, you suggested we send a letter to the councils. I'm, a couple of questions. Who would that letter come from? What would the letter say? I'm a little hesitant to send a letter saying, just reiterating they have the advisory opinion that they asked for. I don't want it to seem like we're rubbing it in their face or something, saying, hey, by the way, this is what we're going to do.
That's definitely. I'm not a face rubber, sort of.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what.
I might speak to what Walt asked before. I think we're in a position where I'm not particularly comfortable with what's occurring here. But what I'm hearing here is that we're proceeding in the way that's it's basically the lowest number that we can legally proceed with is the value that we're carrying forward as our budget, right? Like at that meeting, we're saying it couldn't have been voted lower than what's there. It could only be raised because we're already at 0% for local appropriations. I know that there's some conversation about what contributed to that zero. Just putting that aside for a moment, the value could never legally be below what we presented. And we're proceeding with that number. I also want to say that I agree, I think he left, that I think one of the least effective things that towns and school committees can do is sue one another with the limited resources they have. So my intent is only to convey this to them as to how we're proceeding, and maybe it shouldn't come from you, maybe it should come from our chairs, how we're proceeding, why we're proceeding that way, and we're just looking to kind of start rebuilding that community to region relationship and the hopes to avoid going to court. And the same thing goes for the financial town meeting next year. If we intend to do something different from what we've always done, I would like to have that conversation with them, you know, a couple of months ahead of time, 6 months ahead of time, whatever it may be, so that it's a collaborative effort and we don't end up in court, because I do think that that could be the silliest thing that we can do is sue one another.
Could I just add that I did have a conversation with David Igliozzi, the solicitor in Gloucester. I have not had any conversations with the Foster solicitor. I think there's been a changeover. I talked to Dave, and according to him, they're going to abide by this. They have no reason to not. I don't think there's anything that would be added by sending a letter, but that's for the committee to decide. I just wanted to be clear that that's not something you're expecting me to write, or if you're asking, the committee wants to vote to have the chair send a letter. I just want some clarity on that.
Well, I'm curious when this meeting could potentially be had, the meeting that we're supposed to have with the town. Oh, sorry. Never mind.
Sorry. So after doing some research, a 2007 decision from RIDE directly contradicts the advisory opinion. It says the voters can, in fact, do more than accept and reject the budget. And I agree with Walt. The budget was failed twice. There is no budget. You can say that there is a zero budget, but if the accurate information was presented that evening or prior, you can go below zero. Legally, you can. Just because if you don't need the money, first of all, even if there weren't homeschool students, if you don't need the money and you accurately represent the revenue, that's one thing, the tuition revenue, then if you don't need it, you shouldn't ask for it. But if we are accounting for homeschool kids and we included them in the totals, which was misleading intentionally, which I'm not saying it was, or just an oops. Regardless, they were counted, they shouldn't have been counted, and that's a significant amount of money. To me, that's not next year. To me, this is current. We don't have a budget, and I'm gonna stand on that. The voters voted against it twice. This is a democracy. Their vote holds standing, and we should be acknowledging and respecting that people took time out of their lives for 2 different nights, and they showed up for a reason, because they had a mission. They weren't happy, whatever it was, they voted down the budget. I wasn't happy, but the fact that we're just saying, this is not how you have a community. This is not how you just say, nope, too bad, we win. They voted down the budget. Technically, there is no budget, and I completely agree with Walt on that. There's zero budget. You can say it's a zero budget, but it's not a zero budget because we're counting homeschool kids in this. So that's my opinion.
Well, what other course of action options do we have?
Another financial, because there is no budget. There is no approved budget.
Any other discussion on number 18? Number 19.
Madam Chair, I don't want to be a pest about this, but I think you have to address Mr. Mara's request. Are you going to send a letter?
Brendan, what is your request? Can you be specific, please?
I think that we owe the towns that we work with communication that indicates to them how we're planning to proceed. I think they probably have a lot of questions, and perhaps they'll just watch this video or whatever, and it doesn't matter. I don't know. But we need to make sure that they understand how we're proceeding politely, because it's not intended to be, ooh, this is what we're doing. It's a professional courtesy that this is why we're proceeding the way we are. This is our understanding of the law. And if we intend to run the meeting in a different manner next year, then we should convey that to them as well.
When would you like this correspondence to go out? Because I don't feel comfortable writing it on the behalf of the other 8 of you. So if there's a correspondence that you're saying we as a committee are
I can
writing.
reach out. I'll just shoot a note to the Foster Town Council and let them know that this
I
is
just
what
don't want
we're
to
doing.
speak on the
That's
behalf of
fine.
8 of you.
Nope. I will just keep it short and simple, and I'm sure that they're watching this, and if they have questions, they can raise them, but that's
Okay.
fine. I'm not looking to create work for anyone.
Number 19 is communication, it says between school committee members, but I believe it's to and from school committee members. Amy just wants that back on the agenda. Does anybody have any communications to or from to share at this time? Like, remember,
We received communication.
right, do you remember when we used to have that as a standing agenda item?
Yep.
I think it used to read communications to and,
Yeah. So
To
this
and
was
from.
communicated to me today. He was gonna drop it in the mail, but he asked me to.
it was communication she's sharing.
No, so that, each thing goes, you gotta pass it over. So pass it
Don't
over,
take it
pass down to
apart,
them.
take the whole packet and
Take the whole
pass it.
packet. That's why I'm passing them as a Kyle, pass it down to them, please. Sorry, I'm trying to,
Don't pass it, don't go through it, just take the whole thing, yep.
there's 3 pages.
There should be 3 pages in each
There's 3 pages. You have yours, right?
Beth have 6.
We're good. Yes, sir.
Here, I'll get it.
Here.
Is this an open session?
I don't, it is the correspondence from Body to Follow our, board of canvases.
Do we just have a few minutes to read it?
Well, it's not an open session. So that was, Amy, did you, that was fair, right?
Yeah,
what you just
that's-
want a standing item,
Yes.
agenda item? And the next one was, future agenda items that are requested by school committee members.
Can I ask for two, please? Amy, if that's gonna stay on there, your subcommittee list?
Yeah,
does
yeah,
that stay on there?
yeah.
And also to follow up a policy to address the needs of students or behavior and potential bullying. I don't know how to word it, but Amy, you were talking about trying to find a way to communicate to kids. I don't know how to put it in.
Do you want it to go to policy? Because I think they're meeting sooner than later.
Is it policy or is
So
it?
there is already a standing policy that we've looked at.
Not for July.
No, there was already a policy, like a reporting policy that we found, remember? Yeah.
As far as bullying and behavior and
Yeah,
stuff like
it's
that?
about, yeah, yeah.
I just want to make sure, I think the communication key,
I think it's putting it out there,
I
yeah.
think the communication key is incredibly important. So if we could just put it for discussion purpose on there for the next agenda, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Policy,
Policy or just?
potential bullying policy.
Well, or communication of how to handle it, or the parents, I think Amy kind of knows.
So like an action plan, kind of like?
Yes, an action
yeah.
plan would probably be better, an action plan for bullying and.
You're not asking for access to the bullying policy, are you? Because that's a big.
That's a state level thing,
No,
right?
No, access to our bullying policy.
It's
and
on
how
the
to do it
website.
is one of those icons on the website.
Yeah.
Yep, no, I see it on there. I just think it's more of parents need to, I just like to have, before the start of the school year, parents, I think it's important for them to know we can't share. Like just we can't share
So
discipline.
you
We
just
can't
want
share.
an update.
Exactly, just kind of as the school year starts, please see the bullying policy on our website. Please
Okay.
address any
Does that make
concerns.
more sense?
Please
It's
know that
just
the kids
directing
were
parents to that
had
spot.
seminars, whatever you want to call them. They have workshops or
So is there a need?
It's kind of-
or you're
no, I
just
wanna
asking
have it
for an
like, so it's
update
open
before
meeting.
School starts.
well,
I'm just asking.
whenever August, it was going to be in an open meeting, just saying, because the kids go to these meetings, the kids go, it's in their handbook, the kids sign it. And then the kids go to these, is it seminars that you have in school that you have not?
Different things. I'm asking.
No,
what
I
do
know,
you
but
want
I'm
for the
just-
what do you want for the communication in August? Because initially you said a policy meeting, so I'm just trying to.
Well, the
shift. Is it
policy meeting was,
policy
that
or
was
is
different.
it-
The policy meeting was for, the subcommittee policy meeting, all the subcommittees, having that on there for the communication. But I didn't know if it was policy or if it was just communication key. But for the start of the school year, I think it's important for the parents to know that we take the kids' safety very important, and that the kids have, it's reached out to them during the course of the school day. Bullying, about how to report it, how to make, so all that. So just a communication key piece, a communication key piece on the August agenda, just for parents to know.
How the building principals communicate this out to families.
That's perfect, yes.
Okay.
Perfect,
right,
thank
thank
you. And that there is a process for the kids too, that the kids do. That there's a procedure, exactly. I think that we do it in Foster too in the beginning of the school year. So, thank you.
Any others? Okay, do I have a motion? Sure.
Larry Daniels, Foster, Rhode Island. Now, he just stated that the state of Rhode Island says you can't go below the budget, right? So you guys want to follow that rule. And then, on another note, you guys said, Brandon said, the state of Rhode Island says no cell phones as of August 2026. But you guys want to make an exception for that. You want to, we'll have a little room where the kids can go play on their phones. But it's like, you can't do what you want to do. I mean, you guys don't make any sense.
Walter Steer. I've got a question on the minutes of the financial meeting. I don't think you approved those last meeting. Are they ever, if they didn't get approved, when are you going to approve them? I know you talked about the minutes at the last meeting, but I don't
We
believe
did talk about them.
you ever approved the minutes of the meeting.
The
anybody-
Financial town meeting am I speaking?
Yes.
Financial town meeting, no, we did not approve them because they don't need to be approved because they weren't us.
This
And
isn't this is not an open agenda.
Is, one, it's not an agenda item, and two, we discussed this at the last meeting. We explained why we didn't.
So then didn't we always approved them in the past? Is this another new thing that we've come up with? I'm sure Greg's got some reason why we don't have to do it anymore, but it's, I don't know, you people, and then electronic devices. The school committee members have electronic devices here? What stops you
people are
from
on them
texting with each
all
other,
the-
asking each
Excellent
other how they're gonna
question.
vote, what they're gonna do?
That's a really good question.
So maybe you people shouldn't have electronic devices either.
Who's been on their phone? We've been sitting here paying attention, engaging.
I remember when I was on the school committee, there were people,
Talk to
there were
him.
people
Talk to
playing
him.
games on their computers, doing things. So, yeah, well, you know, so that's just something to think about. The, yeah. All right, the bullying policy. It seems like we've had more bullying, and kids today seem much more susceptible to, it doesn't take too much to push them over the edge. So even, you know, what would be bullying to, might not be bullying to one child, to another child, it could set this kid right off the edge. So, God forbid, any child, if something happens to one of these kids because of bullying, this district is going to be in for a big lawsuit. So I think any bullying should be, how many of these are referred to the police?
So I can't get into the specifics of that, but I can tell you that every situation that gets brought to an adult or an administrator, there's a process to follow. And once you get to one point, you have to go to another point or another point. There's no one way to go through it, Walt, because as you said, sometimes there are other factors. When the police need to be called, we have a very, 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 very good relationship with the Gloucester PD. I appreciate the relationship we have with them. We have SROs that are on site and go between both buildings. So they are called as soon as they need to be called, and often they are in as like a preventative. Oh, if this happens again, it could be an issue for the police. I will say that's a very good relationship with Gloucester PD, and I appreciate that.
How come so many parents seem to be upset with the process?
I can't answer that question, why parents are upset with the process. I
Well,
can tell you that.
they're upset because they don't feel they've had a complete investigation
And I think
of
that
their
goes back,
child's problem.
I think that goes back to what Amy says, that there is a lot of information that cannot be shared with parents. There's a lot of information I can't share with you. It's the world we live in with respect to rights of children and keeping that private. I can't answer that. I didn't make the law.
We protect the offenders way too much in this society.
Walt, I
They have all the
disagree.
rights.
That's not.
The poor victim, he can't
Well,
get justice.
I think you need to read FERPA, and I think you need to educate, everyone needs to educate themselves on that. I think that there were implications as a result of FERPA that no one foresaw. And I think that is the implication. We are not allowed to, the school administrators are not allowed to share consequences of students to other people's parents. They're legally not allowed to.
They can't even share it with the police. Anyway, you know what I'm getting at. And also, back to how we calculate the student proration, the homeschoolers, if you're counting the homeschoolers, which wasn't done in the past, administrations, that could affect the amount of money that each town pays their share.
Okay.
It could be a big number, it could be a little number, but
I
it-
think that.
it will be
we're
a
in
number.
Yeah, I think that we're in agreement that we should look into that more. We also have to consider the fact that homeschooling requests are on the rise and likely more so during this administration than in previous ones. So maybe there, there does need to be some inquiry as to how we're doing that and how we're handling it. I don't think anyone disagrees with that point. I don't.
When's it gonna happen? We talk about it, but nothing ever happens.
Okay, can I request an agenda item that we do further inquiry into homeschooling funding and explore if we are able to accept that money as a district?
Amy, so
I think this is what people are speaking to.
Yeah,
I don't,
but
yeah.
I'm just saying, I think there's a lot of confusion, so having an item on there, I think would be helpful, and I will draw
Yeah.
you back to the compulsory attendance that you just read.
Right.
If you look in there, it's saying the responsibilities that still sit with the district, and I don't remember what year, but about 4 years ago, so it seems appropriate that you're seeing a difference. About 4 years ago, districts were then required to report that data to RIDE. Prior to that, they were not, so you would not have seen that. And the district is responsible for much more oversight for homeschooling than they had been in the past. And just as you saw that bill, it would be even more oversight for homeschooling students. I can tell you that we have homeschooling students who could be out and then they come back. And I had that just recently, 2 months ago, where a mom just called and said, my daughter's coming back for the end of the school year and will be back next year. Had we not included that student in our homeschooling, we would not get state aid for that student who will then be in our school. So there are a lot of details and intricacies, but 4 years ago, RIDE required us to report that, so it's probably why you had not seen it beforehand, but if you want an agenda item, I will get you as much information as I
And
can.
we can-
Ann's not here as well, and certainly want to make sure they have the information.
Well,
for you.
if children are homeschooled, we do not get state aid, right?
Correct.
So that's a certainty. So,
But the district is still responsible for oversight for that student, and should that student decide to come back, that student is our responsibility. If we did not count that student, we would be educating a student without state aid. In addition, any homeschool students who require special services, special ed, that sits with the district. If a student decides to be homeschooled and play sports, they're allowed to play sports. So the district still incurs costs. If the parents decide to use our curriculum, they are entitled to use our curriculum. So if we do not have that student included as a student that we would have to spend money on, and they come back or access any sort of that, it still costs the district money to have homeschooling students.
so they can,
And the report changed about 4 years ago where RIDE has a heavier oversight because, Amy, I will agree with you that post-COVID, we've had an influx of homeschooled students.
so they can drop in and out anytime they
They
want?
can, Walt. They can come in for September and out for October and back for November and take December off. Obviously, there need to be plans in place and questions asked.
So
But
that's
yes.
that's a moving number the whole year, probably.
True, could be, yes.
All right, just one last thing.
Well, just for 1 second, I want to back up. So Amy, I appreciate you putting it on the agenda for conversation purposes. I would also want to add for future agenda items, since we have a couple months to figure it out. Find out what districts do in fact count homeschool kids then too, please. Add that to it.
Well, I think it's bigger than that, to be completely honest with you, because likely the law on this hasn't caught up to the trend, and that's why we're seeing compulsory attendance bills happening. So I think we have to be careful what we're looking at, and I think although it may have nothing to do with removing the money necessarily, because of the ability for parents to come in and out of the district. I think the larger issue is then, if the money still comes to the district, what are we then providing to those students should they decide to be homeschooled? Yes, curriculum, right? And it costs a bit of money, but there are likely other ways to support those families and with our resources that we're not doing. So maybe there's something we could do there. I understand the monetary piece this is complex, so we have to tease this apart for agenda items.
The last one I have is, I think Greg's right I don't think the town will sue you over that money, but I think the town will sue you over the vote. You do not have a budget. The town never voted a budget for your schools here, and I hope the town will take that to court.
Wait, Aaron.
122 Dexter Saunders Road. I came in a little late. We had another meeting, so I'm just really confused and I need to have clarity. The town voted the budget down twice. So as Shelley says, you don't have a budget. So moving forward, what are your plans? Are you ignoring the fact that the town has voted down your budget? Or are you creating a new budget to present to us so that we can vote on that?
What happens when the town presents their budget at an all-day referendum and it gets voted down?
We go back to the drawing board and we come up with a new
If
budget.
it was a zero budget,
We come up with a new budget.
even if you're already at zero?
It doesn't make any difference. The vote is the vote. When the town, it happened a couple of years ago, the town voted the budget down. We had to go back to the drawing board and create a new budget and present it.
Can I just jump in really quick? Because I think the difference between the town and the region is that the region has revenue, right? Like, they have revenue. So we already went through this whole explanation as to what supplanting is, right? And we can't, where the town would have to go back to the drawing board, yes, because they don't have revenue in excess of what they're spending, right? So it's a different process. Look, and I'm not arguing the point of what you're saying, like as far as the process. I'm not arguing that point.
It doesn't make any difference whether you have revenue or not. The town voted your budget down. We didn't approve your budget. We don't want your budget. So you tell me, what is it you're planning on doing? Are you ignoring a vote and you're just going to move forward? Or are you going to go back to the drawing board and present a new budget to us? I would like an answer.
We did already talk about this earlier. I know you weren't
Well,
here. Do
it's
you want to
open
answer it for a sec?
forum, and
Or
I
do
had
you
a
want
very
her to
important meeting
watch
to
the
attend
video?
earlier, and I would like an answer, as well as everyone else
Well, they were here. They were here.
But did you get an answer?
Not really. All we got is, well, what the state says.
And that was an opinion. That wasn't law.
I was here, and I'm gonna say, I don't agree with it. It doesn't, you can say the same
You
thing
got
over
an,
and over
but
again.
you got an answer.
Well, because they're saying that's a zero budget, so they're saying it doesn't matter. And I'm saying the information was not provided accurately. I
Okay.
don't agree, because you can go below zero. There's nothing saying you cannot go below zero.
Any other public comment? Okay.
Am I
Aaron?
going to get an answer?
We have an advisory opinion that we're going to
But it's an
follow.
opinion.
Can I ask a question?
And we're going to
So-
follow it.
Can I
You're
ask
going
a
to
question?
follow the
The
opinion.
advisory
And
opinion.
I just want to be clear and have it on the record that you're going to go against the vote from the town.
Okay.
You're going against the vote, the opinion and the vote that the townspeople voted for. I just want it on the record, and that's what you said. You're going with the opinion, which is an opinion. It
The
isn't
town
law.
council asked for an opinion. We asked for an opinion.
But we
were
found
both
out
given an
it's
opinion.
an opinion. We found it's not
Okay.
law, it's an
You asked for
opinion.
I'm done. Okay, you're right.
Thank
you for your public comment.
To ask our legal representation. a
He already
question.
answered this.
No, I haven't asked the question, so he hasn't answered it. I'm asking, actually, you know, I did ask it, and I don't think I really got, there was a lot of discussion. So what are the potential next steps? Because this is obviously like something that hasn't occurred before in Gloucester, right? And I guess for me, I'm sitting here in the back of my mind, like I'm so process oriented and I fight for like going back to the process and doing it, you know, by the book. So I do understand the concerns that are being addressed. While I agree with the advisory opinion in the essence of the way that the financial town meeting took place, I think I would just like to know what are our options. at this point? Could we have another meeting? Which absolutely sounds ridiculous and is the last thing that I want to do, but I would like to know what our options are.
Okay. It's getting late, and I
Yeah.
think some of you know I wasn't planning on being here tonight. So I'm going to ask some courtesy of this committee to get this meeting ended
Yeah.
soon. And I don't want to keep having to repeat myself,
Right, I get it.
okay? The commissioner ruled, or the opinion that the commissioner gave is that and it's not the towns that voted, it's the taxpayers of the region. When people walk into that regional financial meeting, they're not Gloucester residents, they're not Foster residents, they're regional residents and they're regional voters. The town councils have nothing to do with it. So when they walked in there, they were not allowed by law to try to direct or limit your ability to expend outside revenue. That's what the commissioner ruled. He also ruled that the $154,000 cut for debt service was never part of your maintenance of effort, and therefore they couldn't have cut that, they could not cut that either. And that was what the council asked for. There is an open question about, in the future, if you present a budget that's more than zero, or if the taxpayers try to add or subtract to a number, how that would work. And that's something we're going to have to work out between now, you as a committee, we're going to think about between now and next March.
I just like to say again that we are directly, the RIDE has a direct conflict of their 2007 decision that says voters,
We are in public comment. This isn't even an agenda item.
no, I know, but we're talking about the budget. Doesn't matter. So in 2007, they ruled that we could cut the budget. It's back and forth. There's no consistency. That's,
I'm listening. So why don't we cut off all the nonsense and just get a forensic audit? I'll hold everybody accountable. Right? I mean, that's obviously a lot of loss of trust. And I don't think the communities want to spend their next 6 months in lawyers. They get a lot of money when there's discourse. Right? What's the right thing for the people is to have somebody come in here besides volunteers to look at the numbers and get to the bottom of it. You know, you guys are having an independent investigation for other things. I think we need an outside agency to come in here, get rid of the attorneys, do a forensic audit of the entire books. That makes the people of Gloucester happy, probably make you guys happy. So, I mean, we got to find a path forward. I agree. So that's my 2 cents. Get the lawyers out of here.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to convene to executive session to discuss and/or vote on the following matters: Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A, collective bargaining, Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A, legal advice, and pending litigation, Rhode Island Journal Law 42-46-5A, job performance.
All in favor?
Oh, second.
Mark seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?